Hello, this is Ken Barron, and I'm with the National Association of Black and White Men Together. First of all, I want to wish you happy holidays in the upcoming days and that you have a safe holiday and you get a chance to relax and party if you must and have fun. I've done that while I was vacationing in Maui. And during that time, I realized that the area is extremely multi ethnic and multicultural throughout the whole of Hawaii. So I looked up the history of the state, and it was an example of a colonial power grab, I find out. Meanwhile, while I had time, I was rereading White Fragility by Chris Cross, and also Old Boys Aren't Blue by George Matthew Johnson. And this has frequently been challenged and banned in many US schools and libraries, primarily for its LGBTQ plus themes, its profanity, and sexually explicit content. And it's making it one of the most challenging books in recent years. The Cross book shows how white people can lead white people in action on racism and try to make the world a better place for those at margins. So I decided this would be a good start for the new year by talking about black and white identity. And this is part one in the series where I focus on names. I will try to outline the Johnson book in terms of homophobia and racism and relate my history and coming out as an older gay cisgender white man. I will compare and contrast the two books and my unpublished life. The concept is to show that homophobia and racism and response to these two evils are important to us all. Before I continue, I recognize the white privilege I have and cannot fully walk in the shoes of George, but have made efforts to understand and to inform, particularly white folks, on these ideas. George was brought up in New Jersey with a strong family bonds which helped him weather the bullying in school. His first realization of his identity comes when he realizes that the name he was using, Matthew, was a middle name and his first name was known to all of his family, but not him. This angered him, but later he adopted George, then turned back to Matthew. He realized his power and identity in his name as a black boy. This may appear trivial to a white person, but black history tells us that black names were determined by slave owners. My birth certificate shows Kenneth as my first name, and I shorten it to Ken. And my forefathers could change my surname at will as they moved. Our main name may not denote being wealthy or tell the world where we come from, but a black name could. Black names are identity and family. And so, as I do part one of black and white identity, I'm just reminded of how difficult it is growing up as a young gay person or coming out as an older gay person. So we'll continue the series, part two and beyond. And meanwhile, while I was in Hawaii, I noticed that names there have a rich history deeply connected to nature, spirituality, and ancestry. Traditionally, names held mana, which means spiritual energy, and were often unisex. An 1860 law later mandated Western naming conventions, which were thankfully repealed in 1967. And so, black and indigenous names were forced on enslaved or colonized people, but names are identity to be preserved, whatever rationale you apply to it, it makes sense. Well, thank you for listening. Again, happy holidays. If you want to check in with what's happening in the new year, go over to our main website, nabwmt.org. By the way, we're having a convention, and that'll be in Las Vegas in August. And again, look at that website. We'd like you to subscribe and like us on all the platforms we're involved with. Happy holidays.